What is going on, everybody? Mark here, back. It's been such a long time since I've continued this video, but I'm the type of person to finish what I started. So this is Marked Arts, MARKD_ARTS, and we're back to drawing this abstract face. And basically, last video, sorry if I was a little off on the recording. I improve every day, you know what I mean? So like this is maybe a year and a half, 2 years later since last time we spoke about this, and I watched the last video and I left off on the eyes, or really I left off at this part. Basically everything base layer drawn except for the lips, and we have not drawn the eyes. And I was really just looking at it from a third party perspective since it's been a while, and the only thing I really would fix obviously is this area, which I think we're gonna wait and see anyway to fix that, and probably this little spot here, this little circle area. But other than that, I like this blend, and everything else looks like a real skin with just abstract makeup or something, which is really what we're going for. The image that we're trying to replicate that I created here, I did this abstract design of a face, and I'm going to bring back the hair in different ways and see how we can do cool things with the background later, like I said in the beginning. But for now, what we're going to do is we are going to get going on the eyes. And to do that on this one, I'm sorry if I'm zooming in and out on the screen. I'm going to try and not do that. Someone has said that, and I do agree. I'm crazy with zooming in. I'm just I'm just in my own head. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to do the eyes. And to start out, we're going to make a layer. Make a layer. Eyes. Let's do eyes 1, because there's going to be multiple layers. So if we zoom in here to start, what we're going to do to start, we're going to make a layer, a mesh that is going to basically where I'm outlining this part. If you could see this imaginary line here, like inside the between the skin and the actual eye. I don't know the science between the parts, people, so just bear with me. But that's going to be one layer. I'm not going to worry too much about these little highlights that are kind of important. I'm going to probably draw those after the fact, and probably maybe 1 or 2 veins or something, or like vessels or whatever you want to call them. And then what we're going to do with the pupil and the iris, or whatever it's called, those will be separate layers as well. I don't know if the colored part is going to be mesh yet. We'll see. Whatever looks best, really. But the bottom layer will definitely be mesh, and then we're going to make that mesh blend into an outer mesh that's going to really mesh with the face. We're just saying mesh a bunch. We're just saying mesh. We are just saying mesh a bunch, but that's just the way it be when you're doing gradient mesh. So we're gonna start out like we always do if you watch my other videos. But once again, we're gonna make a square, definitely with the square tool, so we have that center point. We're gonna take our mesh and we're gonna control click the eye on the layer we have so it's see-through, and we're gonna make sure our square is white. We're gonna click that center point, and what that's gonna allow us to do is have a perfect mesh in a sense. We're gonna make this a color that I could see. So let's start building this around the structure of the eye. We could shrink it a little and maybe give it like a little rotate to give it the actual dimension of the eye, because like the way the eye is sitting, it's not necessarily flat. It's almost like on a plane, like diagonally like that, if you can see the center where the camera is on the girl. But I'll probably put the center point right probably just in the middle on this one, because we're gonna have a separate layer for the pupil anyway. And what we're gonna do is we're going to take these points and kind of try and pretend there is a boundary for now on all of them, and this all the way to the right will go all the way to the right. These are like intermittent points. What we're doing, we're just smoothing out the points so we're not having any jagged edges. All right, that's pretty much good for now. So you can see the structure of what we're going for here. It is surrounding the boundary of the eye. So what we're going to do is when we add mesh points, it's going to understand where it's going, in a sense, like the directionality of the structure is going to maintain. But really the idea is we want to think about where color is changing. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to an art class here, but like there are no hard lines in art in real life. And right here, this is a perfect example. So you have white to pink here, but It seems like a hard line maybe to some people, but really it's just it's always a blend. It's a smooth blend here. So what we need to do is create these lines in their mesh almost to allow the blend to transition with a fine enough tone, but it's not hard, but you don't want it to be too soft either because there is a pretty defined line here. So what we're going to do is kind of just start building our mesh structure. We're gonna see there seems to be a color transition around here, and we're gonna just make sure our mesh stays pretty relevant to where the points are. We don't want points going all over the place. Obviously, it's easier to watch and listen than just listen, or else I sound like I don't make sense. But if you kind of just watch what I'm doing, it almost all clicks together. At least maybe it will eventually. But these handles do play a big role in the actual representation of how the color is. And then so we have that nice middle point between the gray and the lighter gray. And then I'm gonna have a center point in that gray here, because that's like my core color almost for that imaginary shape. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a line. We're gonna put one right on the boundary, and we're gonna shift the line over. And if you could see, this line kind of goes like this. So I'm gonna try and maintain that structure. So you can see what we have is kind of starting to make sense a little bit, and it's gonna eventually fade like a 3D shape. So if I do this point, it's gonna start to come a little bit more flat each time until it's completely flat in the middle. So think about it as 3D. Like if you do 3D, this is what it's gonna look like too, almost. So if you could do this, you can probably do 3D modeling, or to some degree start to understand 3D modeling a lot better. But what we're gonna see, this is an important part here. What we have is this dark red to this light pink, or whatever you want to say it is. So we do need to define that, because I think I'm going to put it in the shape here. So I'm going to put a point right here because I could see that edge. And I'm going to try and assist the points to go where they need to go right now. So this is looking much better. What I'm going to have to do is curl this more. This is going to come in here. These points need to definitely not attack each other. We don't want any points attacking each other. So then that's looking definitely better. And you could see the structure starting to build. And we're going to put one point in the middle. That's going to be the source color for that dark red. And that's going to bring that dark red in between these points and up into here, allowing it to hopefully blend nice later. And we'll fix it if it doesn't. But I think one point right here is fine. I don't think we need to go crazy. We'll probably have points added down the line where we might need to adjust the color. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We really just want to build the structure. I'll probably put one right here, just for blending purposes, and I think that is going to really start to build the shape. We don't want to add too many points. We want to be really careful about what points we're adding, and we're going to go back to editing this guy right here, this vertical, because I think this actually needs to shift inward like that, because that's just how the trend of the color is. It's gonna, the more you do this, the easier it is to kind of see and understand like why I'm doing what I'm doing. But again, that's why we're watching the tutorial, I suppose. But that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put one line here to get that kind of between color from the colored part of the eye to the actual gray part we're trying to replicate right here on purpose. I think I'm going to actually shift this guy like this. I'm not too worried about under this part because you won't even see it. We're going to cover it. You'll see that later. The shape is really coming together here. We're going to start making the right side, and then we'll worry about some vertical lines, maybe 1 or 2 verticals, and then this mesh should be pretty much complete. At least this eyeball should be relatively complete. So I want to bring this point in over here and then kind of make sure it follows that trend of this part of the eye, this darker shade. And you can see what I'm doing right there if I leave the points highlighted. And I'm going to kind of replicate what I did on the other side. I'm going to put a point here. And now I definitely need to shift this in. These need to be way tighter because they kind of both conjoin at the same area in terms of color. And the color is definitely the most important part. And when it transitions is going to be the deciding factor on really all your placements here. They don't really teach you this in college. They actually just tell you to do it. And then you're kind of left Googling, hopefully, my videos So thank you for watching. Kind of had to teach myself this. With the help of YouTube at a young age, there was a few YouTubers that had some videos, but I always thought they could be, there could be more videos, and they could be better videos. Not saying I'm better yet or am, but maybe I am to you, and maybe I'm going to keep making them. You know, I'm trying to keep making them. I don't want to stop. So right now I have time, which is nice. Time is good right now. That's our inner color. That's going to define that dark shade. This is primarily the same color over here, so I want to keep it pretty smooth. Less points is more smooth, less opportunity to blend between different shades. Not too big of a deal in the eye right now. I want to keep it pretty smooth and simple in the eye. I will put a defining color right here. I think that's good for that part in that dark pink area. But I do want to define this black transition here. Might as well in this shape. So I do want to put one more point in here. And this is kind of when the verticals are going to start taking place, because there's really no way for me to define that black yet, regardless of me having a point over here. I don't have a point over here, so it's going to be really streaky, probably. So this is when I'm going to start to need adding verticals and blending. And when I add a vertical right here, which I'm going to do right now on the black, that's when you're going to have all these other points up here. And if you did the mesh right, it should be pretty sound. It should be pretty smooth, like it shouldn't be any crazy lines, and that's when you know you're doing it right. But sometimes when you get points next to each other, this happens a lot. Definitely going to want to bring these guys together a little bit. I mean, sometimes they get more crazy than others, like sometime right here. These guys are overlapping, so I want to fix that for sure. And maybe they could be fixed over there a little bit, but they're really not too bad. So we're pretty much almost done. I'm going to just see if I need to add a few more horizontal lines. I probably will add one more over here due to the same reason. And that's going to do all these lines going across. I'm going to fix these guys, make them a little bit more smooth. I feel like they're kind of just too jagged for an eyeball. Or just skin or nature in general, really. It shouldn't be this harsh unless you're really trying to make something specific. But that looks definitely pretty nice to me. I'll probably add one more right here just for the sake of symmetry. So the color has the same distance to work with between color. So like if I didn't add one point here, this would be like the biggest color gap. It would just kind of look different from the top, I feel like. Should I add one more on the top? Probably, maybe, let's see. I'm probably going to shift this guy in. Yeah, I'll probably add one more so I can get a little bit darker. You are going towards the top and the crevice of the eyeball, so I guess the colors are a little harsher, a little darker there. And this actually will help me probably for the better, because now I have a little bit more to work with over here in terms of structure. And I'm kind of just easing the mesh off a little, like it's a little too dramatic over here. I'm just trying to calm it down, smoothen it out. All right, so that about does it for the structure of the eye. What I'm going to do now is going to color it in, see where we're at, and really just take it from there. Probably going to need to do a little blending, and if you don't remember, we'll show you how to do that. And what else? And then we'll probably go into the other parts of the eye. I mean, we'll probably build around the eye all the way until we could blend with this shape right here that I left, or at least with the base skin. We'll kind of work the layers, at least the two layers, into each other. Maybe three, we'll see. I really don't know. Whatever works better is always, you know, if I have to do more work, then you have to do more work, you know. We still have to do the nose. The nose is actually pretty fun, so if you get the nose right, it really brings the piece together, because the nose is kind of challenging, but also it's really not too bad. It's just important, like the eyes. The eyes and the nose, I feel like, are probably the most important things. Really important facial features that give a lot of dimension and life. The lips are just hard to do, but I feel like they're just less important to the overall pop of the image. And then we'll fix up the mesh. But let's start coloring. I'll fast forward through this too. And one more thing, we're just going to make sure we select the eyedropper tool. And we're going to select our direct selection tool. So this way, when you hit Control on your keyboard, you could just quickly color and click Control back and forth. That's the fastest way to do it. And let's keep going. All right, so that's our eye right now. It actually looks pretty wicked. You can almost see like the eye almost in it without there being an eye there, which means we're kind of doing it right. So outside the boundary where we made, it's looking pretty smooth, except for, I don't know, we'll probably clean up a little bit in the left side over there. It's looking a little harsh. But other than that, I think it looks pretty clean right now. Maybe fix the top edge there. This is exactly where we want to be though. I could select like different colors if I want to. Let me zoom out and actually take a look at what it all looks like together right now. Pretty creepy, but you can see what we're doing here. And it's going to look cool. So we're going to go to blending. We'll give you a quick, little overview of blending again. What we're going to do is we're going to take the direct selection tool and the eyedropper tool once again. And we're going to select that point, and we're going to select a little to the right of it, and then we're going to select a little to the left of it. And if you do that a bunch, you're going to lose a little bit of the hue, but you're really going to improve the overall transition of the colors. And you can go up to down, down like left and right. The longer you do this, and like if you do this for like an hour, it really does come out a lot nicer. So we're going to just speed through this and fix the edges a little bit, and we'll come back. And really quick, let me just cut in here. As you can see, it's looking already, I would say, better on the left side dramatically. And I'm just going to fix up a little over here, and then I'll move to the right side and finish it up. All right, so I'm thinking that looks pretty good. I mean, like, if you imagine this part being cut off here, like, that looks pretty smooth. So if you just add all the highlights, I'm going to leave that for now. And I can always do, like, finer details with the pen tool and overlays and blending modes and different things like that. That eye is done, at least that part. What we're going to do next is we're going to make the other parts of the eyeball on top and then really bring it together, add the details, and then try and finalize the exterior. Add the eyelashes probably last, so it's going to look a little weird for a while. I usually do hair last. But yeah, let's get started on the shape of the next eyeball. Alright everybody, as you can see as I click that last point, it's pretty much knew like where to go because I made the structure pretty nicely. It took a little bit to make, more than I thought it was going to take. I'm going to move this mic closer, but what we're going to do now is just add maybe like 1 or 2 more lines, and then we'll start adding color. This took a little bit because I really wanted to get the shape dynamic and like the tone dynamic of the eye. So you can see like there's like a blue tone in here, then it transitions to light green, then like a different green, and the eye has a lot of different shades. So I want to make sure I capture those. I could use a point here. It's just too, like, there's not much going on down there. And we could smooth this point out just like you were watching on the fast forward. You don't want anything, especially on an eyeball, you don't want anything to be like too jagged. You want the color to be as smooth as possible. I like that line, that works for me. And the only other line we might need is maybe one at the very top. I'm trying to just look at my mesh really quick. I think I'll add one here in the middle of this blue. And And that's going to be that. I'm going to probably make these 3 points all the same color to make it smooth. I don't really want all those extra points there, but I'm going to select those probably all at once and make them all the same tone so it doesn't look like I have points there at all. And the last point maybe I'll add is up here. I think we could use one up here as like a divider and full black color up here. That's what that's going to be, or whatever color is up here to blend it with the skin. But I think that's it. I think that really finalizes the structure of that eye. You could see if we add the other eye back, this is kind of where we are. Let me unlock it with the eye right now. Let me zoom out. And you could see how mesh works. You could just stack layers on layers until you can blend them all together. And we're going to continue with the color. Hopefully you got all the information you need from watching that fast forward. We've been doing the same technique, so I'm only going to speak over so much content. Unless I feel like I didn't touch on something, then I'll probably go into it. For the most part, what I just did here was, I isolated color and tone like we've been doing. For now, we're going to color this eye. We're going to move on. We'll input the black part, the pupil, and then we'll add the highlights and tones of the eye, and we'll really finalize the inside of the eye here. And then we'll move on to the exterior.